everybody, Robinson DUP, and obviously I'm here with my coach, John Garofano. I'm not sure yet, but we may be joining forces on our YouTube channel, because I'm constantly putting out content, and then John has good content, but it's like very sparse.
Well,
so when he gets time.
Part of it is, when you're coaching, a couple. I'm around probably 25 to 30 people that I actively coach on top of working full time and commuting about 3 hours a day. So it's it gets tough, but I definitely think that there's some room for us to maybe bring our channels together. What do you guys think?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we join forces? I don't know. They seem like when we're on camera that we get pretty good views on those.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about? I got a question in the comment section of one of my other videos called, or asking, are deloads necessary? Once again, if you've been following my videos with the daily undulated periodization, I've been telling you, like, every 4 to 5 weeks I've been taking a deload. And people are like, oh, that, and the one comment that really irritated me is like, that's stupid. Because the way I do a deload is I'm still in the gym, but I'm usually working around 65% of my 1 rep max with a lower volume. That's how John has it in my plan. And somebody said, well, if you're not going 100% in the gym all the time, it's dumb. And I said, well, it's not dumb. It's actually called active recovery. Because if I lay off for the entire week, I kind of get stiff, my joints get stiff, and you're not doing much of anything. But with the active recovery, you're still kind of lifting, but the volume and the intensity is way lower. Let your body recuperate at the same time, which over a progressive or long span of time should, in all reality, yield better results. Because when I used to do no deloads, I never deloaded a day in my life. You'd be working out 6, 8, 12 weeks, and then all of a sudden and watch for this symptom, and it's not overtraining, but all of a sudden you'll have like a week where the whole every workout you have is just crappy. Every basic number, even your mediocre performance is lower. And you say, oh man, I'm just having a bad week, or I'm tired, or it's this, or then you need to switch supplements because it's the supplement's fault. All these excuses tend to come in. I used to do the same thing, like what the hell is going on? I'm getting weaker, but I was stronger a week ago. And it's really your system kind of telling you that you needed recovery time. You needed not necessarily time off, but you need to let your body heal. So I'm going to let John talk a little bit more about the importance of deloading and how to do it.
All right, guys. So I want to start off by clearing up a few misconceptions. So let's talk about what a deload is.
It's being a wuss.
A deload is being a vagina. No, a deload is... first off, most people think a deload, so they look at Greg's program, and when Greg talks about taking deloads, actually, he's using a term for a reason, deload. He's saying that because that's what people understand and what people know as sort of backing off from a period of time in the gym. But really the word that he should be using, and he wants to use, but most people don't know it, is the word taper. So let me explain the difference between a deload and a taper. A deload is when it's truly you're deloading. You are actually taking weight off of what you normally use. So let's say that you're used to squatting 315 for 5 reps. Instead of squatting 315 for 5 reps, you might be doing 250 or 275 for 5 reps, because what you're doing is you're actually bringing the weight down. So you end up keeping your volume the same. So if you're used to, again, doing maybe 3 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 5 at 515, now you're doing 5 by 5 at 275 or whatever. And the point of that is that there are a couple of research studies that seem to show that energy expenditure seems to stay about the same during a deload. So that can be useful during periods of time where maybe you have a lagging injury, maybe you're in contest prep, and you need to make sure that your energy output is the same. So that's a deload. The problem with deload is that there's also some research that shows that even going more than 3 days without using the same training load that you're used to, you can actually start to see performance declines. So you can actually lose adaptations that you've built in your training block or during your training period of time, where you will actually no longer be able to use that same weight. So to go back to the example of the 315, if you're used to squatting 5 by 5 at 315 and now you back off for 275, and let's say you do that for 2 weeks or a week or whatever it is, you could come back and not be able to squat 315 for 5 by 5 because you lost that adaptation from that training program. So what some of the research on tapering shows is that if you run a short training taper, but you keep the training load the same, but you cut the volume down anywhere between 40 to 90%, what can happen is you can keep the training adaptation, but allow what's called supercompensation to happen, where your body will actually go into a restorative cycle, your hormones can reset, your strength can stay the same, but you will actually upregulate your recovery, and you will feel a lot better, and actually you will outperform what you were doing because you actually backed off for a period of time. So that's what's called a training taper. Now, the only way that a training taper works is if you truly put yourself into an overreaching phase of training. What is overreaching? Overreaching means that you have pushed your body to a state where it is just about to break down, where you are just about to hit overtraining, to reach what I don't even like to use the term overtraining. I like to use the term non-functional overreaching, which means that you get to a place where performance starts to decline. And when performance starts to decline and get worse, that's when a training taper can be helpful. But again, that's only if you have pushed your body to that point. The type of training that I typically recommend is daily undulating periodization. So this way you are getting the performance benefits of a variety of rep ranges and a variety of weight, and you're using more frequency, but you're spreading your training volume throughout the week rather than on one day. So you're not going in and doing, let's say, 6 exercises for chest on Monday. Instead, you spread those exercises and that volume out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example.
There's also the benefit for a natural is the protein synthesis day, huh?
Exactly, because you're going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis multiple times per week within that muscle, and so this way, in theory, you can generate more skeletal muscle because you're stimulating muscle protein synthesis more frequently in that muscle, because there is a ceiling effect. So you might get that muscle protein synthesis after 2 exercises and maybe 3 or 4 sets, but you keep doing exercises on Monday, you're not going to get any additional benefit from that. The same thing with, there's a protein level at which you stimulate muscle protein synthesis, and then after that, there's really no additional benefit. So anyway, going back to the point of this is that if you have sufficiently put your body into an alarm stage in the beginning of your training program through an intro week where you basically have pushed your body to adapt to a new stressor, and then over time you use progressive overload by giving a little bit more weight, more volume, etc. What's going to happen is that you're going to reach a place where you start really benefiting from that training program. At the point where you start to decline again, okay, that's when a training taper can be helpful. So that kind of covers how I use it and some of the benefits. A couple of other things. Injury prevention. Your body can only take so much loading for so long. And after that period of time, you need to have a restorative cycle. Okay, we know that this is true with any athletics, with any type of sport. Athletes need to back off for a period of time to actually recover. Because what has happened during a training block is that you will be accumulating fatigue. You will actually never truly get to a place where you're recovered from your last session. That is pretty much true of any athletics. You look at a football player, they are constantly lifting weights in the off season. They're constantly fatigued right before competition, right before they enter their contest season. They are backing off the weights. Why? They need to recover from all of that heavy loading so that they get the benefits of all of those programs. That's called the delayed training effect, where there's a period of time where you back off and you get all those training benefits. By backing off for that period of time, you get all those training benefits, you recover, and then you can enter into a contest season. So let's talk about application for you. So if you're the type of person here who's maybe a beginner, maybe this doesn't apply as much to you, but it can, right? So if you're a beginner, first time in the gym, first time working out, you should not be doing bro splits, you should not be doing a body part a day. You should probably come in 3 times a week, maybe 2 times a week, and do full body.
I agree
Why?
with that.
And why? Because you're going to benefit not by doing a whole lot of isolation movements. You're going to benefit by doing major compound movements, and you're going to really benefit by anything that you do.
Because of all those new gains, your body's new to it.
Exactly, and you're going to be converting muscle fibers over to fast-twitch muscle fibers. You're going to be getting a huge anabolic response, and so you should probably be training 2 to 3 days a week, full-body workouts. So if you came to me, that's what I would end up doing for you. I'd put together probably full-body workouts, get you acclimated to the big movements, and then from there, start to move into more complex programming. So if you're a newbie, maybe I would do that for about 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks. But as you start to, your performance declines, that's when you probably want to drop some of the volume. So if you're used to doing a 5x5 at, let's say, 225, maybe you want to do 2x5 at 225, right? And again, that by bringing the volume down, that's going to let you recover. And after you recover, you might want to do a max attempt. You might want to do some testing of your lifts. And what that's going to do is that's going to help you see realistically where are your strength levels. After you assess your strength levels, then your next training block should be to push you a little bit further. So that over time, you have this step loading pattern. That what happens is you get a little bit better each month, each training block. And then before you know it, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road, you have acclimated, you have built up such an amazing tolerance to increase workload and volume that you could be squatting every day if you wanted to. I'm going to give you an example. I have an athlete who I work with. He's in his early 20s, and I had him daily maxing on squatting. I do not recommend this. I do not recommend this for most people. But I had him daily max squatting, and it took him a very long time. It took us years to work up to that. And once he worked up to it, he saw amazing benefit in his training programs. But we only did that for a short period of time, and we backed off. And because he needed to restore some balance. He had to take 2 weeks of what we called a training taper. When he came back, he added 30 pounds to his squat. And for someone like him who had been lifting for about 4 years already, to get that much on top of his squat is substantial. So, to wrap it all up, if you're listening to this, you should be thinking about pushing your body, trying to get more adaptations, progressive overload each week, and then eventually back off so that you let your body recover. So this way you're sleeping better, your cortisol levels come down, your testosterone levels come back up, and also so you get the delayed training effects of your program and you get stronger, you drop body fat, maybe you'll build more muscle. And then you chart a course for yourself in your next program, in your next training block, to be getting more adaptation. So that's a way to apply it to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook. Feel free to send me an email. It's just my last name, John, my last name, Garafano, Garafano, @gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I'll answer your questions. And if you want something more in depth, we can have a conversation about working together.
All right, guys. And that's why I always we've always talked about having a plan going into the gym. When you want to play with the big boys and you want to play with the elite, whether it's in the NFL, Major League Baseball, bodybuilding,
or against Robinson Davis,
or against somebody like me. I wish I was that big league. I'm working my way there, though. What do we got? Anything good?
Oh, there's this winery over here, Prince Michel.
Oh, we're going to go get drunk. Sorry,
oh, my God. I was at this place like 4 years ago. I did get drunk here. Anyway,
nice.
Whole nother story.
Anyway. But basically, you always have to have a plan going in. The plan is what's going to guarantee that you're going to get results. How fast the results are going to come are going to be based on a lot of different variables that are going on at the same time.
Especially if you're eating Pop-Tarts.
Especially if you're eating Pop-Tarts. For me, if I eat Pop-Tarts, I automatically get bigger. It's guaranteed. It's scientific evidence.
Them gains.
Them gains. But it's important to have a strategy going into the gym. It's important to understand it's not just lifting the weight. It's the hormonal effect that it's having, the physical effect, the mental effect, the nutritional effect that you need to take into account in order to grow, okay? The majority of us can't do push-ups and just get big, so there's a lot that goes into all of this. And I think it's important that, like I've said before, even if you're a noob, sometimes to hire either a personal trainer who's very well versed and or a coach like a John, like a Paul Revelia, like a Lane Norton, and Mark Lobliner, Van Bro, any of those guys. you know, they're good coaches that know what they're talking about, and build these programs that will help you continually progress and get to your goals. Some people are going to get there faster than others. That's just genetic capability and how your muscle bellies and attachments are. But if you want to get big, or if you're just looking to get functional strength, these are all things you have to take into effect. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to leave John's contact information and his channel link in the description box. Feel free to contact him. Feel free to contact me. We're always willing to help people out where we can. As remember my other video, nothing is for free when we go into these advanced talks. And I'll talk to you guys later.